She left her daughter with family, just for one night. A few hours later, she was found on the ground, beaten so badly she could barely be recognized. Now here's the part that will have you thinking. The man she was with that night, he didn't do it. So who picked her up? And why didn't she never make it home? April 2014, Oakland, California. 23-year-old Kimberly Robertson was trying to build a new life. Originally from Dallas, Texas, Kimberly had already experienced loss early on. When she was just a child, her mother was killed by a man she trusted. That kind of pain doesn't just go away, it stays with you. But Kimberly didn't let it stop her. She moved to Oakland with her 2-year-old daughter, focused on giving her a better life. She enrolled in college in San Francisco, studying criminal justice. She had plans, real ones. People around her described her as outgoing, warm, and deeply devoted to her child. Everything she did had a purpose behind it. That Friday, April 4th, felt like a break from all the pressure. She spent time getting her hair and nails done. It was one of those days where you just want to feel good, look good, and enjoy yourself for a few hours. Before heading out, she dropped her daughter off with her sister, Marquita. There was no worry, no concern, just a normal night. Kimberly was in a good mood. She was excited. She was going out with her boyfriend, Danny. That night, the two met at the Lakeside Lounge. At first, nothing about it stood out. It looked like any regular night. Music, drinks, people moving around. But as the night went on, something felt off between them. They weren't close. They barely spoke. Security cameras inside the club later showed the distance between them clearly. At one point, Danny was talking to other women while Kimberly stayed on her phone. No loud argument, no scene, just tension sitting there quietly. Around 1:15 in the morning, they left the club with one of Danny's friends. By 1:24 a.m., they were back at the parking lot where their car had been left. This is where things started to shift. A taxi pulled up. Danny got in first. Kimberly followed and sat in the passenger seat. 30 seconds later, she opened the door and stepped out. She walked away. The taxi drove off with Danny still inside. Then, strangely, the taxi came back. It circled the area, paused, then left again. It returned once more before Danny finally got out. Kimberly was gone. That was the last moment they were seen together. From there, their paths split. Danny got into his own car and drove to a nearby bus stop. He parked across the street. Cameras would later confirm he stayed there for hours. Meanwhile, Kimberly was alone. It was just after 2 a.m. The streets were quiet, almost empty, and she was standing at that bus stop, waiting. A few minutes passed. Then a vehicle entered the area, a red SUV. At first, it didn't seem like much. It drove past the bus stop and kept going, but then it came back, and then again. The same vehicle, circling the same stretch of road multiple times. That kind of movement stood out. It wasn't normal. Each time it passed, it slowed down just a little more. Whoever was inside that SUV had noticed her, and they weren't moving on. At around 2:05 a.m., the SUV stopped. Someone inside spoke to Kimberly. There's no audio, no way to hear what was said. But what happened next was clear. She got in, the SUV pulled away, and that was the last confirmed sighting of Kimberly alive. Hours later, just before sunrise, a cyclist passed by an area near the FM Smith Recreation Center. Something caught their attention, a body lying on the ground. Police and paramedics were called immediately. They tried to help, but there was nothing they could do. Kimberly Robertson was pronounced dead at the scene. The condition of her body told a violent story. Her face had been beaten severely. Her arms and hands showed bruising, clear signs that she had tried to defend herself. She had fought. The injuries were extensive. Head trauma, a brain hemorrhage. There was also evidence of sexual assault. Some of her belongings were missing: her phone, her jewelry. Nearby, investigators found a few items that didn't immediately make sense: a sweater and a receipt for garden supplies. At the time, they were just pieces of evidence, but later, they would become important. Back at home, her sister Marquita was still waiting. At first, it didn't seem unusual. Maybe Kimberly had stayed over somewhere. Maybe her phone had died. But as time passed, that feeling started to change. Then the police made contact. They informed her that a body had been found. It was Kimberly. The news hit hard, completely unexpected. Marquita couldn't understand who would want to hurt her sister. It didn't make sense. But one thing she was sure about: it wasn't Danny. Still, the police had to look at him first. He was the last person known to be with her. Danny was brought in for questioning. He explained that they had been drinking that night and got into a disagreement about how to get home. He didn't want either of them driving. He said he called a taxi, but Kimberly didn't want to wait. She walked off. According to him, he got into the taxi but then changed his mind, got out, and went to find her. He said he eventually parked near a bus stop and waited. At some point, he fell asleep in his car. When he woke up, she was gone. It was a story that needed to be checked, and that's where the cameras came in. Detectives went back to the Lakeside Lounge. They needed to rebuild the timeline. Security footage showed Kimberly and Danny entering the club around 11:30 p.m. The distance between them was noticeable even then. Later, footage showed them moving through the club separately. Then, at 1:15 a.m., they left with another man. That man was identified as one of Danny's friends. He told police he dropped them off at their car around 1:24 a.m. That matched the timeline. Next stop, the parking lot. There was a Walgreens nearby, and its cameras had a clear view. Footage showed Danny getting into a taxi. Kimberly followed. Seconds later, she stepped out and walked away. The taxi drove off, then came back, left again, returned once more. Eventually, Danny got out. Kimberly wasn't there. Everything he said lined up with what the cameras showed. Then, investigators checked the bus stop. More cameras. More confirmation. Danny's car was seen parked exactly where he said it was. It stayed there for hours. He didn't get out until early morning. His story checked out. He wasn't the one who killed her. So now the focus has shifted. If not him, then who? That's when investigators noticed something in the background of the footage. A reflection from a nearby bank camera showed the bus stop from a distance. And in that reflection, they could see a vehicle, a red SUV. It drove past once, then turned around, then passed again. When they reviewed more footage, they realized something important. That SUV had been circling the area multiple times. It wasn't just passing through. I watched it. Then came the moment that changed everything. The vehicle stopped. Someone spoke to Kimberly, and she got in. The SUV drove off, with her inside. Investigators now had their suspect vehicle. But there was a problem. The license plate wasn't clear. They couldn't identify who was driving, so they went back to where her body was found. The F.M. Smith Recreation Center also had surveillance cameras. They started reviewing footage from around 2:30 a.m. At 3 a.m., the same red SUV appeared again, driving through the area. But still, no clear plate. It was frustrating. They had the vehicle, they had the movement, but they didn't have an identity. Then they remembered something. That receipt was found near Kimberly's body. It was from a home improvement store, dated nearly 2 weeks earlier. It didn't seem like much at first, but it gave them a new direction. And that one small piece of paper would lead them straight to the man responsible. Detectives followed the lead from the receipt. It was traced back to a home improvement store just a short distance from where Kimberly's body had been found. The date on it went back nearly 2 weeks. It was a long shot, but they checked anyway. And somehow, the store still had surveillance footage. When they pulled it up, there it was. The same red SUV. It pulled into the parking lot. 2 men stepped out and walked inside. Inside the store, the purchase was made using a card. That card was traced back to a 53-year-old woman, which raised another question. Why was someone else's card being used? Records showed the same card was used again just hours later at a fast food restaurant. So investigators went there next. They reviewed that footage. At first, it looked like more of the same, blurry angles, unclear visuals. But then they checked a rear camera, and this time, they got it. A clear view of the license plate. That one detail changed everything. The vehicle was registered to a man living in Oakland. His name was Prince Chinch, but he went by Frank. 41 years old, married, a father of 3. He sold clothes at local markets. On the surface, nothing about him stood out. But now, he was directly connected to the vehicle that picked Kimberly up, and that made him the last known person to see her alive. Investigators needed to confirm it. So they took a different approach. Undercover officers went into his neighborhood, asking around, showing flyers of Kimberly. Then they knocked on his door. They spoke to him casually, asking if he had seen the woman in the photo. He looked at it and said, no. He claimed he didn't know her, didn't recognize her. But investigators already knew she had been in his car. That denial mattered, because now he was lying, and that was enough. He was arrested. During questioning, his story didn't stay the same. At first, he said he didn't remember her. Then, said he might have seen her. Then finally, he admitted it. He had picked her up that night. He claimed she offered to sleep with him for money. He said they had sex. And then he dropped her off. That was his version. I didn't kill this woman. All I had was sex with her. That's what he told them. But the evidence didn't match that story. The results came back. His DNA matched what was found on her body. Now there was no question. He had been with her. And based on where her body was found, his timeline didn't hold up. Everything pointed back to him. In court, he stuck to his story. He claimed it was a one-night encounter, said she approached him, said she set the price, said he dropped her off and left. I didn't kill this woman, all I had was sex with her. His defense argued there was no direct witness, no one who saw the act itself. They tried to frame it as a bad decision, not a violent crime. But the prosecution laid it out clearly. He was the last person with her. His vehicle was seen circling her location. He picked her up. His DNA was on her, and her body was found near where he claimed to have left her. The jury didn't take long, less than 2 hours. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and committing that murder during a rape. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Kimberly Robertson was 23 years old, a mother, a student, a woman trying to build something better for her child. Her life was taken in a moment that didn't have to happen. And now, her daughter will grow up without her, just like Kimberly had to grow up without her own mother. 2 generations, same kind of loss. And it all came down to one decision: getting into the wrong car.
Our founder, Hazel Street, contacted me probably around May 2014. Both of us had heard about Kimberly's passing, but we were pretty surprised by the underreporting of the incident. In our community, there's this rush to put up balloons, to put up candles, to put somebody's face on a t-shirt and really just remember their death. And we didn't see that going on with Kimberly. We wanted to do something constructive to embody what we were feeling, but we also just don't have the answers. That's what this art project truly was for us. It's us standing as a community in this pain with you. We are here for you. We want better for you, and we're willing to work to get there. We all have a vested interest in moving ourselves forward and moving this community away from the violence that is truly degrading and dehumanizing us as people.
I would like her to be remembered as the free-spirited young woman that she was. She was always happy. She loved to have a good time.
The world would have been a better place if she was still here. She was taken too soon. I feel like a lot of people would have benefited from her. I was one of them.
I just refuse to believe that her death will be in vain. I just want them to know how much she did for us and that we're not going to stop.
Everything I do is for her. And I'll stand behind it 100% because I love her and I know that's what she will want me to do. Because she deserves that.
I know she's in heaven, having fun, and making people up there smile, and making people up there laugh. We'll see each other again.
Thank you for watching this episode of Archived Crime Files. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Your support helps us continue bringing you real crime stories, detailed investigations, and gripping cases from around the world. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below. And remember, the truth always leaves a trail. See you in the next episode of Archived Crime Files.